Hi and welcome to Swedish Plant Guys. Is it possible to grow indoor plants in water without any soil? In this video we give you the why, the how-to and some examples of plants that will thrive in water. So, is it possible to grow indoor plants in water without any soil? Well, yes. It's called hydroculture, or basically growing plants in water. Now I have here with me a Monstera deliciosa, and we have two cuttings in here that have been standing in just water, just tap water, Swedish tap water, for about 10 months. I haven't added anything else. I haven't done anything to these roots. I've just replaced the water here once a week for 10 months. And this is what has happened. It took about 2 to 3 weeks before we got any type of roots from the cuttings here. And then it took up to about 6 months, and then it started to grow. And the first thing that grows were actually these very, very now long air roots. But it has also started to grow out new leaves as well here. We have 2 baby leaves that have been coming out since we put this in water. And it has been standing there for 10 months without doing anything. Now all plants need roughly 5 things to be able to grow and thrive. You need water, air, light, nutrition and support. If we can arrange all those 5 things, then we can basically grow anywhere. So why would we ever want to grow in water and eliminate the soil? Well, the first thing is that it can give you lower maintenance. And the reason for that is that 2 of the most common mistakes we make with plants in soil are completely eliminated in water. And those 2 mistakes are when we overwater, we give too much water, or we underwater, we don't give enough water. By growing completely in water, we eliminate these mistakes completely. Another thing is that you have a lower risk of getting pests and diseases. The reason for that is that when you eliminate the soil, which is usually the breeding ground for pests and for diseases, you almost never have that problem. And lastly, when growing in water, you have a quicker growth rate. Usually it's about twice as fast as in soil, but it can be up to 4 times quicker. Now, you decide if that is a good thing or a bad thing. It could be both. So moving on to how do we do this? Can we take just any indoor plant and just put it in pure water? Well, yes. What you can do is that you can take a soil planted plant like this and move this to water. And you do that by just trying to eliminate all the soil around the roots. Usually you can use your fingers and remove the soil, but then you can use water and just rinse off the soil. But be careful here, because it's quite easy to injure the roots and harm the plant. So this method of growing in water from a soil-based plant doesn't have as high success rate as doing it all from the beginning. So the other way is actually to start over in water. And what I mean by that is that you take a cutting. You can take a cutting from a soil-based plant and place that in water. That is exactly what I have done here. I've taken 2 cuttings from a Monstera, placed it in water and just let it grow like this. Now, in this, we actually have almost the 5 different things we needed for a plant to grow and thrive. We have support. The vase itself here is actually support for the plant. So the leaves are standing up and supported here. The roots are not getting damaged by the leaves moving here. So we have the support. And I've placed this on my kitchen island where it's quite light, so it gets a lot of indirect sunlight. That's number 2. I give it water, and that is normal Swedish tap water. Now, depending on where you live in the world, you could use rainwater, bottled water, or just some type of filtered water. But it needs to be a purified water, so it doesn't have anything that could potentially hurt the roots. And lastly, air. Now, that is the tricky part, because how do we get the air when we're growing straight into water? Well, as we replace the water as often as we can, but at least once a week, we're actually adding oxygen with the water to the roots. Now, this type of plant, the Monstera, it actually solves this problem in another way. It sends out air roots like this. Not all plants can do this, but this is one way for the Monstera to help itself to get enough of air or oxygen. So, however, backtracking here, I've done this to show you that these cuttings here have been standing in water for 10 months. In just water. I haven't added anything. But if I want these cuttings to become even larger, to become a big plant, then I need to start adding nutrients or fertilizer to this. And we do that by going out and buying a fertilizer that is specifically for hydroculture. Or it could also say on the box hydroponics. Now, what is hydroponics? What's the difference? Well, I had my support here with the vase. It supports this plant. But if I planted this in a normal standard pot, I would have to do something to support this plant. And that is where hydroponics comes in. Because when you add, for instance, aggregated clay here or leca pebbles to that water, or you could also use perlite as well, you get a structure, you get a support for the root system, which means that it will not move as much and it will not break. And that is hydroponics, when you use some type of substrate in the water to support the roots and support the plant. So what type of indoor plants can be used like this, can be planted in water, in hydroculture? Well, almost any type of indoor plants works fine. But there are a couple of different species that works better, where you have a high success rate, where you can even get a better plant than when planting in soil. And we'll put a list here, and we'll also put it in the description below. So when do I personally use hydroculture? Well, if you follow this channel, you know that we talk a lot about pumice. Pumice is a substrate that can be used together with soil to create the perfect environment for roots. And I really believe that that is one of the best ways of growing plants today. However, I do use hydroculture. As for instance, this is actually from my house. This has been standing for 10 months on my kitchen island at home. And one of the reasons I have it like this is because I like the look, and also it's so easy. Because all I had to do is just add water. But if I wanted to have this even longer on that kitchen island, I would have to start to use some nutrients as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps this channel a lot. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And hit the bell as well so you get a notification every time we put up something new. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where you can get sneak previews on upcoming videos and sometimes a little bit more. Now until next time, hej då!